This is CBC Here and Now.
Rising interest rates are reshaping the real estate market, sometimes before houses are even built.
Our mortgage payment is very likely going to be hundreds of dollars more than we anticipated.
I'm Garrett Berry, and I'll bring you that story coming up on Here and Now.
The town of Flat Rock has purchased a Catholic church from the insolvent Archdiocese and a holy grotto that was once visited by the Pope, and some say is a place where miracles have occurred.
It hits home to a lot of people that live here, and to think that that could have been sold out from underneath everybody.
I'm Terry Roberts. We'll have that story coming up.
Welcome to Here and Now. I'm Carolyn Stokes. Well, the low interest rates homeowners had enjoyed are a thing of the past. Growing interest rates are now shifting the real estate landscape in this province and in some cases changing houses before they're even built. Here and Now's Garrett Berry explains.
The foundation isn't poured. In fact, the lot's not even graded yet. But this dream house has gotten a lot more expensive.
Our mortgage payment is very likely going to be hundreds of dollars more than we anticipated.
Domenica Daly's dream home, a one-level house accessible for years into the future. The bad news, it will be more expensive for years into the future.
Every month.
For like 25 years?
Yes, for a generation, yeah.
It's because Daly's got a builder's mortgage. Her rate won't be locked in until certain construction milestones are passed. And since she started this process, interest rates have jumped. So her rate has jumped too.
We're not locked in. We don't know what it's going to look like at the end, which is nerve-wracking. I will say that for sure.
Her eyes are glued to the forecasts, and today's news that inflation has hit 8.1%, not great.
As interest rates rise, your payment power actually drops. For example, imagine you've decided you can afford $1,500 in monthly payments. Well, last year you take your payment, you get a 3.5% interest rate, and you can afford $300,000 in loans. This year, you're far more likely to get a 5.5% interest rate, and that means that same payment can now only support $245,000 in loans.
Customers are walking into the mortgage brokers and walking out surprised.
And it's a reality check, and I guess, it's probably bad news in the moment, but it's worse news if someone ends up into a home that they can't afford.
So surprised, some are leaving the housing market altogether.
Some people are thinking that they'll hold off for a bit just based on the increase in payments, and now it's past their comfort zone.
As for Daly, her dream home has changed before her eyes. She says she's budgeted extra room, but things like crown moldings and expensive finishings, they're on ice for at least a few years.
I like to have that wiggle room because, inflation and the cost of groceries and gas and everything has gotten so expensive. So, unfortunately, that means that our, disposable income is maybe going to be a little bit less.
Garrett Berry, CBC News, Paradise.
And as Garrett mentioned there, Canada's annual inflation rate rose to 8.1% last month, and that's the largest yearly change in almost 40 years. But this month's jump wasn't as big as expected, and economists say a drop in pricing pressure is on the horizon.
It's going to take time to trickle through to retail prices, or the prices that consumers see in retail stores, in grocery stores, in restaurants, at pumps. It's going to take time, but that is indeed what we're expecting. Price moderation is going to come in coming months.
The price of gasoline is boosting the rate. It's up more than 50% compared to a year ago. Travel-related costs, including accommodation, also surged last month. Food is also more expensive too, up 8.8% compared to last June. Now to some COVID news. The number of people in hospital because of COVID-19 took a big jump this week. There are now 14 people in hospital because of COVID. That's up from just 3 a week ago. There have also been 4 deaths in the last week. The Chief Medical Officer of Health had warned that with the virus circulating, hospitalization numbers could climb. Well, after a 2-year COVID hiatus, the annual garden party was back on at Government House this afternoon, and the fascinators were out in full force.
The last 3 years of the pandemic, we do miss it. It's always been a place where you come and meet up with your friends, and there's always some new new Newfoundlanders, new Canadians, and new groups, your entertainment, and it's a great place to come and get together with all those great people.
Yes, it's one of the big social events of the season in St. John's. Lieutenant Governor Judy Foote invited the public back to the grounds of Government House for the first time since 2019. There was plenty of music and entertainment, some light refreshments, and as you can see there, some sweets. And of course, lots of fancy hats that were crafted with care and
a lot of glue.
Last Thursday, it was only bits and pieces.
Yes, it came together. It came together sort of quickly, and with help from a great friend, and put it together. And no one is more surprised than I that it's staying put. We were supposed to have pretty high winds today, but we've got sunshine, and it's looking good.
It's lovely here now.
Yeah.
It certainly was a lovely day. Speaking of those high winds, we did see some pretty gusty winds this afternoon. Reported at the airport at noon, we saw those gusts near 60 kilometers per hour in St. John's, and then we've been seeing those gusts between 40 and about 50 or 55 for the last couple of hours. So now, the other thing about today, or at least last night, we finally saw rain, and lots of it. Take a look at some of these numbers from through the overnight, and some of these are including the rain that fell yesterday morning. But St. Joseph's, 81.6 millimeters of rain. CBS saw about 59.4 millimeters of rain, and then at the airport about 45.8 millimeters. So that is definitely much needed rain. We do still have the chance of a few more showers to roll through thanks to an area of low pressure, and you can see that spinning counterclockwise there. There's those showers. Lots happening on the west coast too. In fact, Stephenville saw 64.3 millimeters of rain with this one. So lots of rain, and we just, like I said, still have a few more showers moving through. I'll get into the full details coming up.
You know where to get the best guacamole in Newfoundland and Labrador? Right here at this fish plant.
We feel like we're in Mexico, but with a different language.
Coming up on Here and Now, how temporary foreign workers from Mexico are keeping this plant going.
Flat Rock has made a big new purchase. The town will soon be the owners of the local Catholic church, along with a well-known grotto. Terry Roberts found out why the town bought it.
Here's the list of church properties approved for sale on Monday by a Supreme Court judge. Some of the most recognizable structures in the province, landmarks that have towered over the landscape for decades. A total of 13 churches have been approved for sale, most to private interests, a few bought by congregations to keep operating. But this church was bought by the town of Flat Rock, along with one of the largest religious shrines in eastern Canada. The late Pope John Paul II came here in '84 to bless the fishing fleet and the grotto. The site attracts the faithful from all over.
A lot of people have said that they've received miracles.
How much is council spending on the church, parking lot, and grotto? Just under $300,000 for a town of less than 1,700. That's money that will be used to compensate abuse victims. The reason the Archdiocese is selling off these churches.
The plan was to try to save this for the residents of Flat Rock.
The mayor says council had to act. The town owns this community center next to the church. It can only be accessed through the church parking lot.
Without a parking lot, our community center up there will be deemed useless.
The town doesn't need this church, but it was part of the tender. Now it has to decide what to do with it.
We'll have something figured out by the end of August. That's our plan.
One option is for the town to sell the church, but there's a deeply rooted Catholic community in Flat Rock.
For years they shared the parking lot with us, and now we want to work with them.
The only thankful and good thing out of it is that the town has been the successful bidder for the church.
This man is a lifelong member of St. Michael's Church, is a regular visitor to Our Lady of Lourdes Grotto, and is hopeful that an arrangement can be reached with the town to keep the church open.
Our parish, our community, and our parishioners would indeed support the church, and we would make it viable and successful as we have in the past.
Mayor Thorne says the goal here is not to saddle the town with more debt. What council has done, he says, is buy more time for Catholics in this community who feel there may still be a future for this church. Terry Roberts, CBC News, Flat Rock.
Well, as of today, people over the age of 50 can get a second booster. You have to be at least 20 weeks from your last dose. The health authority's online booking system shows most sites are booked up, but more appointment slots are being added. The chief medical officer of health says people should check with their local pharmacy or family doctor.
And Newfoundland runs the floor. Boursier puts it home, 83.
Yes, the Newfoundland Growlers basketball team picked up its first road win last night in Ottawa. The team from St. John's beat the Blackjacks 94-80 at the TD Place in our nation's capital. The franchise first road win put the Growlers at 3 wins and 12 losses. But despite being at the bottom of the standings, the team still has a very slim chance to make it to the playoffs.
This is the place where the fishermen gather, oilskins and boots and the Cape hands battened down.
As for the first time since 2019, the popular children's entertainers, the Wiggles, are hitting the road. The Australian-based band has made a few stops in St. John's over the years, and this will be their second stop on their cross-country tour. Tickets go on sale this Friday at noon for the September 30th show at the Mary Brown Center in St. John's. Well, a lot has changed for fish plants in the 30 years since the cod moratorium. They focused on different species like snow crab. Another big change is the workforce. Finding Newfoundlanders and Labradorians willing to work in the plants has become harder and harder. Caroline Hillier met some new faces of the fishery.
Beautiful day. When you say
Roxana, or Roxy as the locals call her, is having a time in Glovertown. During the day, her time is spent here, weighing and sorting raw crab. This work is a little smelly, a little messy, and a lot of standing up in the same spot.
We've got a nice view of your plant here. What's it like
30 years ago, Rhonda Verge owned another plant with her dad in Hickman's Harbour on Random Island. Back then, people lined up to work at fish plants.
6 generations down the line, passed down, and he's done nothing but S-H-I-T to us.
But then the cod moratorium hit, and it hit hard. Rhonda and 30,000 others had to find new jobs.
With the moratorium came the opportunity to retrain. So I decided to take my second passion, nursing, and went back to school.
Sitting on a wharf like this, or even just smelling the salt water, that's what kept calling Rhonda back to the fishery. So after 20 years of nursing, she went back to her roots and bought this fish plant.
The former owner had to get creative to find workers by first bumping up wages and then buying this bus to get workers to the plant. But they had to go even farther.
Hola. Hola. Hola.
Now the bus is full of workers from Mexico.
See you Friday.
It's the end of the crab season. Time to have a party.
Was it spicy? No.
There's food and music, and there's Roxy. She sends a lot of her paycheck home to pay for her son's university. But her other son, Ymir, is here for work too. Ymir makes more in one day at the plant than working for a week in Mexico.
I miss my brother, but it's okay because it's just like little time and it's for better future.
A lot has changed since the cod moratorium. Every year, plants all over the province are bringing in more and more temporary foreign workers from places like Mexico, Taiwan, and the Philippines. This year, about 300. Temporary foreign workers make up about a third of the workforce here at Terra Vista. In rural Newfoundland, the population is dwindling, and that population is older. So workers have to come from somewhere.
No, it's not hard at all. No, we enjoy what we're doing and we love what we're doing.
Yes, that is a bit of a Newfoundland accent.
I didn't learn English in a school or in any part of Canada, any other part of Canada. I just learned English in Newfoundland. So I may have an accent, or I may say words that you don't know what that means.
Erica and her husband Danae spent some of their Newfoundland cash on their wedding at a resort in Mexico. They even invited their Newfoundland friend and boss.
The wedding was so elaborate and so beautiful.
These newlyweds know a lot about the seafood they're processing. In Mexico, they're marine biologists.
We see our future here in Newfoundland. Yes, I think for the fisheries or for what we study and we love, we're around the ocean. It's an island, so nothing can be more perfect for marine biologists than that.
They want to stay permanently, but it's tricky. The temporary foreign worker program is just that, temporary. It has limitations. If workers even want to apply to become permanent residents, there's a whole list of requirements they need to meet first. The people in this town hope the workers and their culture will stick around.
I did have one thing that was really, really spicy, I gotta say, and it really caught me by surprise. But the rest of it, delicious.
Rhonda and Vaden's contribution, Mary Brown's chicken.
I love it, Mary Brown's. Oh my goodness.
Sometimes language gets in the way, but food and music makes getting along and fitting in a little easier. Caroline Hillier, CBC News, Glovertown.
Well, the heat is on. We've got some more humid conditions moving in as we head towards the end of the week. I'll get into the full forecast details coming up.
Well, before we talk about our weather, Ashley, there's some weather news on the other side of the country happening right now. Hot temperatures are taking a toll on Canada's west coast as the battle with fires continues.
Yeah, officials in British Columbia say high temperatures over the next few days will make it more difficult to fight a wildfire near Lytton. As we told you yesterday, the fire has been burning for about a week now in a place no stranger to wildfires.
Wow, the most recent fire now covers more than 20 square kilometers. At least 8 structures have been destroyed. It's so sad to see that happening out there. What are the temperatures looking like in the country right now?
Well, they're pretty warm pretty much across the board. Let's take a look at the map and that will just give you a good idea of what's happening. Look at those temperatures even in the States, 37, 38 degrees, 41 in Phoenix. And then we've got those temperatures in Canada pretty mild as well. 22 right now in Vancouver, obviously still pretty warm or early there, but those temperatures expected to climb into the high 20s. As we head through the next couple of days, Winnipeg 27, Toronto 31 right now, and then Montreal at about 29 degrees. So there are some heat warnings in place across the country, particularly across Ontario and even into the maritime provinces. We're talking about temperatures in the 30s and those humidex values in the upper 30s and even close to the 40s over the next couple of days. So lots of heat. Now we do have some heat headed our way as well, but today was pretty beautiful out there. Is about 23 degrees in St. John's this afternoon. Those 20-degree temperatures as you head towards Central and the West Coast and then up across Labrador as well, about 19 degrees in Lab City. So if we take a look at those humidex values right now, still a bit humid out there. About 25 is what it's feeling like in St. John's, 22 in Badger, 21 in Corner Brook. But as we head through the next couple of days, the dew point temperatures are going to climb, and that's when we start to see some of that more humid air. So when we start to get into the 16, 18, and even 20, that's when we really start to feel that humidity. So that will happen as we head towards the weekend, particularly we'll start Friday afternoon, and then as we get into Saturday, you'll see some of those numbers 20, 21 with those dew points. So it's really going to start to feel very humid through the day on Saturday. That will continue through Sunday and even into Monday as well. So we're looking at a pretty long stretch of some humid air. Now taking a look at what's going on right now, we've got an area of low pressure moving through. That is what's bringing all of that, or brought all that rain last night, and then the rain towards the west coast as well. Expecting the potential for some thunderstorms this afternoon, at least we were, but it doesn't look like anything has developed. But there is still lots of shower activity expected on the west coast, and some of those showers are starting to make their way further east as well. Over the next couple of hours, we will see that head towards the Avalon and eventually the metro area as well. Future Tracker doing a very good job picking up on those showers right now. Some of those showers again for the southeastern portion of Labrador. So by say 8, 9, 10 o'clock tonight, we'll start to see those showers eventually taper off, but then another round will likely develop for the Avalon again. We're not talking anywhere close to the amounts that we were yesterday, but still another round of showers certainly possible. Now, temperatures tonight will be sitting somewhere between 13 to 16 degrees. Winds are going to stay breezy as well, so expect gusts around 60 kilometers per hour. The further east you go on the west coast, they'll be about 30 to 50 kilometers per hour, and then some generally either light winds or gusting upwards of about 40 kilometers per hour up across the Big Land tonight, down to about 12 degrees in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, but single digits expected for Lab City with those showers. As we head through tomorrow, along the coast, really anywhere along the coast, we'll still see that chance of some showers for the first half of the morning. Then we should clear out, especially across the island. Northern Peninsula, you may hang on to some of those showers a little bit longer tomorrow, but overall, it's looking like a pretty nice day. Some showers will move in, though, late day for Lab City and eventually head towards central Labrador as you get into the overnight. Again, some of these showers could be heavy at times. Now, taking a look at as we head into Friday, the beginning of the weekend, looking not too bad, a little bit unsettled, though we may see a few showers along the south coast and then more shower activity expected up across the Big Land as we get into the afternoon hours. Taking a look at the temperatures for tomorrow, pretty nice back up 24, 25 degrees through the day. Again, winds will stay a bit brisk though. between 30 and 50 kilometers per hour as we head towards central. Similar forecast, upping the numbers a bit, 25, 26 degrees expected through Grand Falls, Windsor. And then as we head towards the west coast, some sunshine for you as well. Temperatures a bit cooler, into the 20s though, lovely, very comfortable, 20 degrees in St. Anthony as well. And then again, we may see a few showers lingering across Labrador. Generally, those temperatures should be sitting into the 20s. Lab City similar as well. And then we're hanging on to those cool temperatures, single digits for Makkovik, only about 9 degrees through the day with those showers. But again, that humidity will return for most of the province. And I'll get into the long range forecast when I come back.
As reproductive rights come under attack in the United States, we look at accessibility to abortion services in this province. Reporter Reagan Burden takes us to Labrador, where geography is a major barrier to care. Access to abortion has been top of mind for many since the Supreme Court ruling in the U.S. While abortion is legal in Canada, accessing it isn't always easy, especially in Labrador, where many people have to travel. Here Now's Regan Burden is looking into that and joins us from Happy Valley Goose Bay. So Regan, how do people in Labrador access abortion care?
Well, Carolyn, people who are less than 9 weeks pregnant can take the abortion pill. It is available in Labrador, though not at every pharmacy, and you will have to see a doctor or a nurse practitioner to get a prescription. So of course, like in a lot of the province, getting an appointment in a timely fashion can be a challenge. So beyond 9 weeks, an abortion will almost certainly require travel. Now, Labrador Grenfell Health says its OBGYNs can perform abortions, but it's a difficult specialty to recruit. And so practically speaking, the vast majority of people who need an abortion procedure will have to get to St. John's. So we're talking airfare, hotels, meals, lots of costs. Now, a portion of that is covered by the government's medical assistance travel plan, but you have to pay up front. And of course, canceled flights, weather delays, all of that can make travel extra complicated.
Yeah, a lot of hurdles there for sure. So you've been speaking with some women in Labrador who've had abortions. What are they telling you about their experiences?
So cost comes up a lot. It's not easy to get the money together to travel to St. John's or elsewhere for an abortion. And in fact, we spoke to a woman in Upper Lake Melville who actually had to drive hundreds of kilometers to another town just to get in to see a doctor. She was less than 9 weeks pregnant, so she could take the pill, but she couldn't get an appointment in Happy Valley Goose Bay in time. We've also heard about doctors who were less than helpful and about a lack of supports, emotional supports, a safe space to talk about the experience where there is no stigma about abortion.
And Regan, what kind of help and resources are out there for Labradorians who are seeking abortions?
So the Women's Center in Happy Valley Goose Bay and Labrador City have abortion doulas, and that's a person who can offer information and emotional support, attend doctor's appointments, help with aftercare, and things like that. But advocates that we spoke to said what Labrador really needs is a dedicated center, a doctor who could take on abortion care, or even a clinic. That would mean less cost, less travel, and easier access. And advocates say it wouldn't be that hard to set up. It's something that could exist in a hospital in Happy Valley Goose Bay or Labrador City because those facilities have the tools and expertise needed. Labrador Grenfell Health says that's true. They do have the facilities and the expertise, but again, they have a shortage of OBGYNs. So the health authority right now has no plans to expand its service.
Well, thanks so much for looking into this, Regan. Really appreciate it. That's the CBC's Regan Burden in Happy Valley Goose Bay.
Thank you, Carolyn.
And while access to abortion is a struggle for people in Labrador, the pandemic almost lessened the options even more. The Athena Health Center, the only abortion clinic in the province, almost ran out of cash earlier this year. The fee-for-service clinic saw its cash dry up when visits slowed drastically. In April, government bridged that gap with funding to keep it open. Radio Canada's Patrick Butler stopped by the St. John's Medical Center.
Realistically, abortion care is healthcare, and there should be no shame or stigma attached to that. We trust people to be experts in their own life, and if somebody needs an abortion, they absolutely should have access to a safe abortion. My name is Rolanda Ryan, and we are currently at Athena Health Center, the province's only abortion clinic, freestanding abortion clinic. So Newfoundland and Labrador has one abortion clinic, and it's us. Other than that, you can get abortion care at the Health Sciences. That's the only hospital that we're aware of, and we've been here a long time, that actually offers abortion care. This is actually our ultrasound room. After clients have been seen by the social worker, they come in here, and our highest year on record was 2019. It was before COVID hit, and we had done 942 abortions that year. COVID obviously had a huge impact on our numbers. COVID was a really interesting experience for us because you would think that it wouldn't really impact on abortion numbers, but when you close down bars and you close down socializations and you close down parties, a lot of the unplanned intercourse falls to the side. It really impacted people's getting out and mingling and stuff, and our numbers fell dramatically during COVID, like really significantly, because I guess none of this unplanned sexual activity was happening. The way our funding model was up until this year was that when we billed for the doctor, so we would bill directly for the doctor with our facility fee code and stuff attached to it. So we billed for the doctor would get their pay, and we were reimbursed per case. So for every abortion that we provided, we would get a set amount of money. So when our numbers dropped, our income dropped significantly because that was our only source of income. So our numbers went down, our income went down, but we have fixed costs. We have to pay a mortgage, we have to pay power, we have to pay staffing. My overdraft with my bank was $75,000, and I got very, very close to be maxed out, and that's after the wage subsidy and after the federal business loan. So we were really struggling, and I was frantically writing email after email to the government explaining the situation we were in and saying, you know, does the hospital have the capacity to take these patients? Because realistically, we are doing 90% plus of abortion care in the province, and the hospital was picking up the other 5 to 10% of the patients.
Because we'll address them a certain way, and then
I think the government, right from the get-go, was willing. It was just trying to get it to happen, because I definitely had the support of government. Make no mistake, the government was very supportive, but trying to actually make it happen took a very long time. I got my first block funding payment for April 1st, passed. 2022, yeah, and my first letter to them was in April of 2020. So it took a really long time. It took 2 years for me to get it, and during that time there was a lot going on and multiple letters, and I really do believe government wanted to support this, and they absolutely did support it. It just, the wheels move slowly sometimes, and yeah. But I have a real advocate within government who strongly advocated for us and finally got it pushed through, and I really appreciate her, and she knows exactly who she is.
Well, in other news, the town of Flat Rock, as we mentioned earlier, is the new owner of the community's Catholic church. It bought the building in order to keep the parking lot for the community center as the Catholic church sells off properties to raise money for abuse victims. So what's the future for the church and the grotto? Here Now's Terry Roberts met up with the mayor, Darren Thorne, to find out.
The plan was to try to save this for the residents of Flat Rock. For the most part, like I said, without a parking lot, our community center up there will be deemed useless because there'll be nowhere to park. You know, we rent that out for weddings. It's rented pretty much every weekend for weddings. Friday, Saturday night, we have concerts down there. We have our garden parties there every year. You know, we have our summer program ends up going in there sometimes. You know, if it's raining or whatever. You know, and now we're actually renovating the upstairs of it. You know, so that we can make it so that that building, the plan is to have that building self-sufficient so that it doesn't cost us money. So the rentals and stuff like that will pay for it. So in order for all that to work, we needed the parking lot, basically. And with that, we wanted this piece of property here for the view, and we wanted the grotto. And again, like I said, the church building came with it, which was a bonus, I guess, you know, but again, what we're going to end up doing with that part of it is to be seen in the future.
Okay, so you're spending about $300,000, but you've probably taken on some liabilities as well when it comes to maintenance and upkeep. What are you looking at there?
Well, we haven't taken on any maintenance yet because we haven't been told it was ours yet. So that hasn't happened yet. But yes, you're right. Yeah. So I mean, and that's the thing we have to look at in the next couple of weeks on what needs to be done with the church. Like up to this point for the grotto, there's a beautiful grotto committee in place. They take care of everything so there's no issues, and we want that to continue. And we'll be meeting with them again once we get the final notice that it's ours. We'll meet with the grotto committee and the church parishioners committee, and we'll tell them, like, listen, we got this now, and for years they shared the parking lot with us, and now we want to work with them with the grotto and stuff, you know, and when it comes to the church building itself, well, again, we'll have to look to see how we proceed past that.
Yeah, so what are some of the options for the church?
Well, I mean, we could sell the building. You know, we could subdivide the property and say, listen, we could sell the building. Someone could come in there and say, we want to put something in there. Or, you know, maybe the church committee might come and say, we might put something in there. Or, you know, they might come up with enough money to come to us and say, hey, we want this. And if they talk to the right people with the RC Episcopal, you know, they might say, well, maybe Flat Rock could be the hub for the Roman Catholic Church in our community, in our surrounding communities. Who knows? I don't know. And I mean, we could move our museum out there. We could do there's so much that can be done with it. And the building is in really good shape. You know, I know it's an older building, but it's been well kept by the parishioners who've taken care of it over the years. So I'm really not worried too much about the upkeep right now.
Banking's changed quite a bit since 1984. So this was an opportunity for us to move into a new premises that better reflects how people do their banking today.
The Bank of Montreal is on the move in St. John's, but it's not going far. The bank is moving a few doors down to a smaller location on Water Street. We'll hear more about that transaction after the break.
So Dean, why did Bank of Montreal BMO decide to move from Water Street a few blocks down to Water Street right here?
Well, basically we were in our old location ever since 1984, and as I'm sure you are aware, banking's changed quite a bit since 1984. So this was an opportunity for us to move into a new premises that better reflects how people do their banking today. More importantly, it was an opportunity for us to bring all of our various banking channels together under one roof. So the branch, BMO Nesbitt Burns, private wealth and so forth, and gives us a better ability to provide advice and guidance to our customers.
Talk a little bit about moving a bank from one location to the other. I mean, obviously it's a monumental task.
We were very fortunate. We've had a lot of runway before this move, so we were very prepared, and I actually had the opportunity to participate in a large move prior to this one, so I had a little bit of experience. My team did a fantastic job of just preparing everything, getting everything organized. Everything really went off fantastically. We closed the door on Friday there, and we were ready to open yesterday morning with mostly no issues.
Mostly no issues, explain that.
Mostly no issues. Obviously there's always a few little technology issues and things like that, but nothing that we weren't prepared for, and the team again just did a fantastic job of getting the doors open on time.
This is sometimes called Banker's Corner, so talk a little bit about how banks have made an impact on this corner of downtown St. John's.
Well, at one point in the history of the town, there were, I think, 4, maybe 5 banks in this immediate vicinity. The one down there, the very classical one, be just beyond Atlantic Place. The Royal Bank here, which was originally where Scotiabank is now. The Bank of Montreal here in the corner immediately behind us. There was a financial institution at the other side of McBride's Hill, and then, as I said, the Bank of Nova Scotia in the tower.
According to my research, this was one of the most elaborate buildings sort of post St. John's fire.
No question. It was probably the most. I think, if I'm allowed to read to you, this is a quotation from the Telegram when the building was opened. We do not hesitate to say that when completed, the Gazette building will be surpassed by no building of its kind in St. John's for the solidity of its construction and the perfect finish of its architectural details. The grandness of the Gazette building, in which the Bank of Montreal was, indicated that there were some kind of powerhouse on the street. But very commonly, you will find banks rather like the Royal Bank of Canada here beside us. They were all done in a kind of classical form to indicate a degree of fixity drawn from the ages, which was supposed to indicate to the people who kept their money in the bank that their money might be safe in the bank.
The extreme heat is building in Europe, and so is the struggle to cope. 2 days of record-setting heat has broken in the UK, and now the country is dealing with that aftermath. CBC's Abby Quathison has the latest.
Temperatures have dropped significantly in most parts of the United Kingdom, bringing much-needed relief after 2 days of sweltering heat. The Met Office chief scientist blames man-made climate change, and the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, echoing these sentiments as he outlined the strain placed on emergency services.
Yesterday was the busiest day for the fire service in London since the Second World War. On a normal day, they may receive about 350 calls. On a busy day, around 500 calls. Yesterday, we received more than 2,600 calls.
In East London, several people lost their homes. The mayor confirming a dozen fires were raging at the same time. The London Fire Brigade says most of the larger fires from Tuesday are now under control, but crews continue their work. European neighbors struggling too.
It's just really hot. It's exhausting. Really hard to go anywhere. In the metros, there's probably 50. So if you go in there, you're just full of sweat. It's just really hot, and it's actually too hot for Europe, I guess.
In Portugal, the health authority says more than 1,000 deaths are linked to the stifling temperatures. Wildfires raging in Spain as soldiers help battle blazes nationwide, with temperatures set to remain in the high 30s this week. And in Greece, nearly 500 firefighters working to put out a massive blaze in the suburbs near Athens. Hundreds of people have been forced to leave their homes there. And the World Meteorological Organization says the climate emergency is here.
In the future, these kind of heat waves are going to be normal, and we will see even stronger extremes. We have already pumped so much carbon dioxide to the atmosphere that the negative trend will continue for the coming decades.
He says even if successful mitigation steps are taken right now, this climate trend will continue until at least 2060, but stressed governments need to do everything possible to avert further disaster. Abby Kwadhasan, CBC News, London.
Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden said today he's about to act to fight climate change.
In the coming days, my administration will announce the executive actions we have developed to combat this emergency. We need to act. Just take a look around. Right now, 100 million Americans are under heat alert. 100 million Americans.
White House officials say the actions will include money to build cooling centers, expand flood control, and retrofit buildings. Some Democrats want Biden to officially declare a federal emergency, but it's not clear if he'll do that. Biden spoke from the site of a former coal-fired plant. Well, the wife of the Ukrainian president spoke before the U.S. Congress today. Olena Zelenska talked about children who have died in Russia's war on Ukraine, and she made a plea for more help.
Asking for air defense systems in order for rockets not to be killed, not to kill children in their strollers, in order for rockets not to destroy children's rooms and kill entire families.
Today in eastern Ukraine, a 13-year-old boy was killed by a Russian missile as he waited for a bus. His sister was injured. 2 other people were also killed. Kharkiv has experienced almost daily shelling over the past month after a period of relative calm. Well, a dancer from Yukon is taking his talents on a truly one-man tour across Canada. He's using the Bhangra skills that have made him an internet star to spread hope and joy, one encounter at a time. CBC's Colleen Jones has that story.
With over 200,000 Twitter followers, Gurdeep Pandar usually films outside his Yukon cabin, Bhangra dancing. Many of his followers have written him letters thanking him for spreading joy. And that's how the idea of a cross-Canada tour started. Mind you, this is a tour that doesn't cost money or make money. This is about making you smile.
Joy, hope, and positivity tour.
He's already danced at Inverness Beach. Folks in Mabu taught him to square dance. And with bagpipes in tow, he Bhangra danced on the rocks at Peggy's Cove.
I'm here in Nova Scotia on my across-country tour with the message of joy, hope, and positivity. I find that these messages are very important when there's a lot of sorrows, a lot of suffering, and a lot of sadness in the world.
And goodness knows there's a lot in that in the world right now. So enter this small cargo van.
I'm happy that I found room, a corner for every single thing, like for my place to make food.
It's a little more rustic than the hashtag van life trend, but he's going coast to coast in this.
For laptop.
With solar lights on top, a battery to store some power so he can charge his laptop and camera, and on location, like here at Point Pleasant Park, he can film a new dance. Bree Skinner's visiting from British Columbia. She instantly recognized Gurdeep.
You are an inspiration.
Thank you. So I decided to go to different communities across the country so that the connection which I built through social media, it can be taken to a new level. Your right foot up, don't forget to smile.
Okay.
Now I can't let the Bhangra dance star leave Halifax without a little lesson.
2, 3.
He's right. I do feel happier.
Happy, happy, happy.
Colleen Jones, CBC News, Halifax.
Must say, I know we're looking ahead to the long-range forecast, but I really enjoyed that rain last night.
Everybody did, I think.
I feel like the plants just really needed it.
They really did. And I missed the sound of the rain as well.
Yeah, it was so nice to have the windows open and just to listen to it coming down last night. And it was lovely. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, I don't see any more that type of rain in the forecast, but yes, the plants definitely love it. But now they're going to love the sun and the warm temperatures that are going to head our way again. Let's take a look at the forecast for Friday. Looking pretty beautiful. 24 degrees in St. John's under a mix of sun and clouds. Some showers possible along the south coast, but look at those temperatures through central and the west coast, 27 to 29 degrees, and this will be accompanied by some humidity as well. So those humidex values into the mid-30s expected through the day on Friday. As far as Labrador goes, cooler as you head further north, though, only sitting in those single digits for Nain, but otherwise should reach about 25 degrees in Happy Valley Goose Bay on Friday. However, it will be with some showers. We may even see some thunderstorms as well through the day. Lab City will hover around 19 degrees. So here's a look at Friday evening as we head into Saturday. Unfortunately, Saturday is looking a bit unsettled right across the board, particularly across Labrador. You'll see those showers move through overnight, and then as we get into the afternoon, you may see a few peaks of sun, but the island is looking unsettled. So the chance of showers, again, a few peaks of sun. It won't be overly gray through the entire day, but certainly looking at that, and those temperatures again will be into the mid-20s. And a little cooler for the northern peninsula, though you're only going to sit into the teens, but again, it will feel very humid across the board. Temperatures across Labrador finally rebounding a bit, 12 degrees in Nain, but up to 26 in Happy Valley Goose Bay through the day on Saturday. And then a bit more cloud cover as you head further east. It looks like about 19 degrees in Cartwright for your day. Now, taking a look at the long-range forecast, again, we're staying into the 20s, low to mid-20s as we head into next week, and will be fairly humid as well. Those overnight lows not dipping too much, 17 to 18 degrees. And then by Monday, we're looking at the potential for some showers returning. Now, taking a look at the long-range forecast for central Newfoundland, those mid to high 20s will stick around. Saturday looking gray, like I said at this point, but by the time we get into Sunday, lots of sunshine, and then western Newfoundland as well. That temperature on Monday should be in the 20s there, but you're looking at some showers as you get through the day on Monday. Now, as far as eastern Labrador goes, you're into the 20s as well. 23 degrees by Monday, some more gray clouds and showers will stick around. And then for western Labrador, 19 to 22 degrees, so it's right around where you should be this time of year, although the end of the week and beginning of next week is looking gray. Look at this lovely shot.
Wow.
Spectacular gross morn. I love this.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to get out there this summer.
I know. I was just thinking about that. When can that happen?
Great hiking weather right now.
It has been. Yeah, it would be beautiful. Yeah, well, Jean Ann shared that photo with us. Thank you for that. And if you have any weather photos you'd like to share with us, send them to my Facebook page, Twitter, or email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Great shot. Beauty. All right, well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us.
Good night.